The Knicks, I know in New York, the folks there, they're probably going crazy because, Knick fans, they're kind of like a different breed. They're kind of like
Hmm.
Dallas Cowboys fans. When their team gets good, you can't tell them anything.
No, we're winning the championship.
Exactly. But, you look at the Knicks, they just found out that Julius Randle's not coming back. They weren't a championship team if Randle did come back. Jalen Brunson is tearing it up. That might be the steal of all time in free
Hmm.
agency. But my scariest thing with the Knicks, their head coach is Tom Thibodeau. Tom
He's gonna
Thibodeau, he does
them.
not believe in his bench. And how much are his guys like Jalen Brunson, like Jason Hart, how much are those guys going to have in the tank when the playoffs roll around? That's my big thing with the Knicks.
And the way that he's going to play them from here on out, those three Villanova guys, right?
Hmm.
Devin Hart, right? Jalen Brunson. All right, they might make it out the first round, right?
Hmm.
It'll be a hard fought second round, and then they'll lose. He puts them at risk for injury next season.
Yeah.
The way he's going to run these guys into the ground. We saw it with Derrick Rose. We saw it with Joakim Noah. We've seen this story before. We saw it with Jimmy Butler in Minnesota.
Right.
We've seen this. This is not so what you're saying is 100% accurate, but it could affect them for next season.
Listen, it's one of those where I think the Knicks being relevant is good for New York City. It's also good for the NBA. It's
Yep.
good, to have important games at Madison Square Garden in the spring. Madison Square Garden is a special place when it comes to basketball. And of course, the folks in the Big Apple right now, they're happy that both the Knicks and Rangers are doing good. So it makes it
Yeah.
doubly, good for the Garden. But it's one of those where with the way that they are, I still think the Knicks need another guy. You know what I'm saying? If they're gonna take that next step as a team, as a franchise, as an organization, they need another guy. And even speaking of Randall, even when he's healthy, I think he's a guy who unfortunately has become too perimeter oriented as well,
Way too much.
trying to keep up with the Joneses. I feel like Julius Randall is a perfect guy that he would have flourished if he played alongside of Gary Payton or Jason Kidd or Magic Johnson because
Mhm.
those guys would have always set him up to get him the basketball. But I think, a guy like him, like taking 3-point shots, I think the worst thing for the Knicks is when he does play. If Julius Randle hits a 3-pointer early,
Oh, it's over. He's
right?
gonna be happy the whole game.
Exactly, exactly.
It's the worst thing that happened to the Knicks is when he actually hits them early.
Hmm. Yeah. So like so that's my thing with the Knicks. I'm with you. I think they can win a series, but it's just like I'm not sold on them. Cleveland, I look at Cleveland and honestly, I feel like Cleveland's not built for the playoffs. The way that their team is structured. And I
That
think,
backcourt is too small, and
yeah,
that front court is too big.
right. And I feel like it's only a matter of time before, your man Donovan Mitchell gets frustrated because he didn't he didn't want to go there in reality. He really
He
wanted
wanted
to
to
go
get
right. And he's not going to be there now since they got Jalen Brunson. But maybe the Nets try to make a play at him, to get him to New York City. But it's just one of those where I just certain teams are built for the regular season. Some certain teams are built for the postseason, like Miami, like the
mm,
Lakers. We could get to them in a moment as well. But Cleveland, I think, I really do. I think Cleveland, could be one and done again. I think what has changed a lot of things in the East this year. Number one, the Embiid injury, and then
mm-hmm.
and then secondly, the turmoil between the Bucks. Because you figure in reality, it was supposed to be the Bucks, Celtics, and the
Philly.
six, yeah, and you could flip it around in whatever
Mm-hmm.
order that you wanted to flip it around as far
Yep.
as being the top three. But those things have really factored into things. I don't think that anybody expected Orlando
To
to
be
be
doing what they're
good.
doing.
Right. And then you look at Indiana, they picked up Pascal Siakam. You've got
Huge.
you've
That was
got Tyrese Halliburton, a phenomenal point guard. You've got Miles Turner. but I can't get behind Indiana because they play zero defense. You
Hmm.
you can't sit up there and score 125 points and still lose. And that's what they do. So, I really I don't believe in them, but I'm just looking at it. I mean, the Bulls are in the play-in. I think, the Bulls for me, it's been the same old song. A couple of years ago, before the Lonzo Ball injury, they had the best record in the East.
Hmm.
Okay. And I think the Bulls have,
I
they
feel for that kid too. I feel for that kid.
it's unfortunate because I think he had finally found the right team and
Yep.
he was finally figuring it out. And now you've got DeRozan and you still got Zach LaVine because Zach LaVine has been injured. But the Bulls, they're just finding a way. But it's just they're just there for the for the ride.
Yeah.
So I look at it, I'm looking at the teams that possibly could come out of that play-in. I'm looking at Miami if they're in there. I'm
Yep.
looking at Philly, and I think, listen, let's for the sake of argument, if you tell me that Miami's a 7 seed,
Hmm.
okay, and then you tell me Philly is an 8 seed, we might get March Madness in the NBA. It would not surprise me,
Yep.
okay,
Yep.
to see either one of them get past the first round.
No, it would not surprise me at all. It would not surprise me. And I'm a with that how the play-in tournament looks like it's gonna shake out in the East, right? Now this
Mm-hmm.
sounds crazy, right? But it's working out exactly how I wanted it to play out because personally, I want Trey Young in San Antonio with Wembanyama. That's where
Mm-hmm.
I want Trey Young at, right? DeJounte Murray has had Atlanta balling. They've been killing. It would not surprise me if it no, well, they would have to win 2 games in the play-in, right? To advance. Now,
Mm-hmm.
they're capable of winning 2 games. If they were the seventh or the eighth seed and all they had to win was 1 game, they
Mm-hmm.
might have made it into the playoffs. But Atlanta has been a revelation coming down the stretch as far as getting into the play-in and winning, even though their all-star has been missing the past couple of weeks.
Well,
I like what they're doing down there.
I think it's better that he's been out, and the reason why I say it is this is because when you have DeJounte Murray and Trey Young together, they're too ball oriented. And I
Mm-hmm.
think now this gives the opportunity for other guys to get involved because it doesn't make sense if you've got two guys taking 60 shots a game and then it's like 20 shots for everybody else. Now we're getting an opportunity to move the basketball around and get other players involved. So I think that's going to be good uh,
Yep.
for Atlanta. But at the end of the day, I still think Quinn Snyder is trying to figure out long term who's going to be there for him. This because like he came in midseason last year, and
Mm-hmm. But
now
McMillan, he took over for
right,
McMillan.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right. So now he's still trying to figure out, his pieces and stuff like that. But I look at the Hawks. I think they're good enough for the play-in. Can they win a game? Yeah, but it's one of those. If they get out of the play-in, am I fearful of them?
No,
If I'm in Milwaukee or Boston, absolutely not.
no, no,
Absolutely not.
no.
I,
With
I
just Clint Capella down there, no,
nah, nah,
no,
nah, nah,
no way in the world.
nah.